recorded, because Jeffrey does that automatically, because I forgot to record it once. I mean, it's fine.
I know, it's totally fine. Well, it's not. Oh, hello there, Beth.
Really wanna
Good to
share.
actually like see you in person.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you. I'm just seeing your little squares.
Welcome.
Share.
Yeah, I call them the Brady Bunch squares.
It's so true.
Share.
That's what it feels like. We've been living a life in Brady.
Well, it's kind of when you bring some warmth up with you when you came.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, Sydney's on. Let's give everybody a minute or two. Let me get my stuff
Right.
and sit and listen to the experience. No pressure. No pressure.
How are you this morning, Phil? Pretty good. Okay. I'll buy. I'm having fun. You good?
Good morning, Keller Williams.
Hey, good morning.
Sydney.
Is it 9 o'clock yet? Got 1 minute.
So last night I was making dinner
Yeah.
and I was like, I should have invited Beth over for dinner because you didn't probably have anywhere to go.
Oh, it's fine. I went to Kroger and I bought myself little groceries and I made myself some charcuterie board and
Well, that's
some
fun.
concha bread and
Well, then our
bottle
HVAC
of wine.
exploded.
How long have you been telling?
Till Friday. Yeah.
Well, then our HVAC exploded and then I was glad you weren't there.
I know exactly.
Like legit, the kids and I are eating and we hear boom. And I was like, we all look at each other and I'm like trying to decide which direction it came from. Cause there's a floor above us and a floor below us. Came from, yeah, we have one unit upstairs and one down. Came from downstairs, this geothermal unit.
Oh, no.
And I opened the basement door and I could hear something and I run down there and the water is shooting.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
So my pro tip for the day is to know where your water shut off valve is,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
I did.
Mhm.
And I start screaming at the kids, I'm like, oh, Travis is our neighbor, I'm like. Max starts crying.
You're out of panic in 2 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I mean, I can't imagine if that happened when we weren't home. But our basement would have been completely flooded, because in the 20 seconds it took me to get it shut off and respond. There's, I mean, it was everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
It was really fun. Really fun night.
All right, well, it's 9:01.
Yeah.
Are we recording? I'm muted.
Automatically records.
I'm muted.
We are unmuted.
It says unmute myself. It says
That's-
unmute.
That's because I didn't X out of it.
Oh, okay.
X out of that. Oh, there's more people on. There's
Yeah, let's-
four.
Let's see what we got here. Oh my goodness, there are a bunch of people here. Hey, good morning, everyone. So
Good morning.
I'm your guest star today.
Oh, I just threw her in and said, you wanna teach?
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I've taught this class before. So I'm normally one of the little squares up here and I don't get to really like.
The
see what it says.
That's it.
Oh, hi. I don't get to see you guys, talk to you guys very much, or get to really know you, because I'm just the square that every once in a while has an opinion, okay? So I want to take a minute to kind of get to know you guys a little bit. Kind of understand your businesses a little more, because I know Shiny, you know all of this stuff. So I want to make sure that I'm speaking to this in the appropriate manner, okay? So how many of you guys are brand new to real estate? Never sold a unit?
I'm brand new, I've sold one.
You sold one?
One.
Okay.
Mohammed.
Mohammed
I'm
sold
brand new. No,
Awesome.
0.
Zero? Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
All right, well, welcome. I
Thank
am
you.
trying to make this make sense if you have experience in other stuff. Okay, and we're gonna try to connect the two worlds, all right? So how did your one transaction go?
It went real good. It was a good friend of mine in Georgetown,
Okay,
a dentist. He had reached out, he knew that I was getting into real estate.
perfect.
Called, sent me a text one day, said, hey, you know that my mom passed away about a year ago, blah, 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 and we'd like for you to list your house.
Okay,
And I was like, okay,
so your first deal with a listing,
yeah,
that's very rare.
yeah,
Normally, your first deal is.
Mine was too.
yeah.
It's so funny.
Normally, it's a buyer though. I know, right? He's a friend of mine too.
Because buyers typically are the ones that read their hands and sellers are the ones we have to look
Mhm.
for, right? So that's great.
Yeah, so he reached out and I was really excited, because I was like, oh my God, I don't have a clue what to do.
Okay,
So we went and met with, it was him and his sister selling it, but his sister already had the house deeded over to her.
right.
So I went with Katie, which is Michael's mom, and we went to talk to her, and I had the listing, so I didn't have to put on, I didn't have to do the rest.
So it was a come and list me type of situation. You didn't have to like
Do the whole
listing presentation,
yeah.
here's my value proposition, nothing.
Yeah, do not have to do any of that, so, I hadn't done it, so I really didn't even know the steps of all that.
Got it, okay.
We got it, she had just a few things to do about a week out.
Okay,
We had everything signed, that was like, then like a week later on Friday, it was live like 11:30.
Mhm.
I started getting, my phone started blowing up, and people wanted to see the place, and I was like panicking, because I was like, I don't know what to do.
right,
I was here, I needed to get back to Georgia to sign the yard, I had someone showing up.
sounds to me like you don't need to sign in the yard.
I had a relative showing up like at 12:30 that day.
Right.
And We had 2 showings that day, had a showing that Friday night, about 10 o'clock that night, I get a call. I knew the agent, she said, we've got a deal,
Got an offer,
got an offer.
okay,
All cash, 1,000 over asking price, as is, no inspections.
okay,
And
so we know the price, condition, and locations all have this, right?
Yes.
Those are the 3 things. So what of those 3 things do you think came into made the magic sauce that made that happen? Do you think it was the price, the condition, or the location of that house?
all three,
All
all
right.
three. It was, it was,
So do you think it was priced competitively, or do you think you underpriced the house?
no, I think it was priced very competitive for
Okay.
for that area. The house needed some work.
Well, TLC,
A little TLC,
we like to say that it has charm,
yes,
yes,
but it was just, everything just kind of,
potential,
yeah,
yes.
fell into place. And it closed,
Um,
and it closed within 2 weeks.
Okay, fantastic. So how have you followed up with that lady?
I see Dennis, see him all the time. He's a good friend of mine. I stay in contact with his sister that sold the house.
Okay,
You know, I just reach out to her every so often and say, hey,
okay, when's the next time you're gonna call in?
I just actually saw him yesterday. As a matter of fact,
Did you ask for business?
I always do, because
Okay.
I know that he's got a farm that was their family farm.
Okay.
Nothing that they want to do right now, but he knows I'm there.
All right, awesome. So it sounds to me like maybe there's not a full system in place in terms of follow-up, but you are definitely following up.
Most definitely,
Is that fair?
yes.
Fair statement,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So we talk about real estate agents, we want to move from E to P, right? So entrepreneurial, oh, hi. Hi, Sydney. Okay, so you can feel like a new agent and have only sold 3. And as long as you have some systems and models behind it, you're gonna be able to look like a professional.
Yeah.
Okay? So if we're moving from E to P, E is entrepreneurial, and that is interacting with people when we see them and hoping that they call us. Professional is putting a system into place and knowing exactly what that communication looks like, how to duplicate that communication, and then how to scale that communication. Do you know what I mean when I say scale it?
No.
No, okay. So.
Like rate how good, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like is rating how good the communication is, like rating it on a scale, is that what you mean?
No, what I mean by scaling is how do you take it from one piece of communication to a full system and then duplicate that and being able to do that with multiple people so you can scale your business. So you can go from having 3 or 4 buyers you're working with or 3 or 4 sellers you're working with to a database of 1,000 people. That's what I mean.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So we're going to talk about today follow-up systems. We're going to talk about how we make it repeatable. We're going to talk about how not only can you make it repeatable, but you also can scale it and do it on a large level. And we're going to talk about what makes real estate agents so great, which is the fact that we all got into this because we absolutely love people. But for some reason, we hate communicating with them. Okay, so we're gonna figure out why that is a little bit. And this wants me to tell you to remember, we're gonna talk about the lead conversion model, and we are gonna talk about how you can capture, cultivate, convert, and close your leads. I think at this point, you guys know a lot of that system. Cheyenne's done a fantastic job of talking to you about what that means, but we're just gonna go a little more in depth, okay? So, hold on. Did not start this.
Oh, yeah, up there, slideshow.
Yeah, there we go. Boom. Let's try this. All right. There you go. So we're going to learn that lead conversion, how to convert a lead to an appointment, improve your conversion rate, recap.
I know it.
I did, I was like, girl. I was like, you know the beach today? They're sick of looking at my house. Sure, let's do that.
We're gonna talk about ahas. Guys, I know that sometimes we, especially long classes like this, we take in a lot of information and we're like drinking out of a fire hose. And so we get to the point where we're like, all right, does anyone have anything to share? Everyone just sits. Okay? You are gonna learn more from each other than you are ever gonna learn from me or this book. Okay? And also, this is your tribe. If they succeed, you succeed. That's how profit share works for the record. Okay, so it is beneficial for you to share your knowledge with your neighbors. All right, so if you don't share, you're going to be voluntold to share. That's how I roll, kids. All right, let's do this. So next step here. All right, Gary Keller says, the effort you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. What does that mean, you guys? Don't make me volunteer.
The effort that you give to whatever you do to get the lead, you need to put in that same effort, like when you're following up with them.
Right.
In order for them to actually become a client.
Yeah, we talked a big game about protecting your time when you're lead generating, right? Making it part of your everyday systems and everyday something that you do. But what we don't talk about is the fact that following up needs that same effort. It needs that same protection of time. So when we're looking at our data banks, and we have, let's say we close 12 units in a year, right? We have 12 people that we work with. That's 1 a month. I mean, if you're not rolling in like money at this point, you're not like Scrooge McDucking into your coins in your house, but you're making pretty decent living. The next year, you close another 12 units. Your business doesn't grow, your business doesn't scale. Here's what happens. Leadership team at Keller Williams, I'm having a really difficult time because you told me that I would grow this really big business, but my business isn't growing. And then we say to you, okay, great. Tell me who you closed this year. Jimmy, Johnny, Sally, Karen, Chad, all these people. Okay, great. Who'd you close last year? Well, all these other different people. Those different people that you closed last year, these people this year, were there a direct connection there? Did this person refer this person? Well, no. Did you ask for that referral? Well, no. When was the last time you talked to those people you closed last year? Well, I've been really busy lead generating. Oh, but have you? Because you missed out on all the leads that come from the follow-up. That's why I always say the fortune's in the follow-up. Growing a big business is in the follow-up. Okay? Deserves that same protection. Consistently getting every possible appointment from the leads you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. What's that mean to you?
You have to have a system. That's what it entails. You can't just willy-nilly like, when's the last time I talked to you? I used to do that. And I have to go through my phone. I mean, do you know how much it was pain it is and how many leads I didn't generate?
Right.
Because I had to go through my phone to see when I talked to everybody last.
So at one point, I was an interim team leader at a market center in Inverness, Florida. Do you guys know where Inverness is?
Meetings.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Beyond that, no one knows. I'm gonna tell you that.
He
okay?
said it's important.
It's the middle of nowhere, Florida, okay? It's in the county, which is like, we call this the nature coast, Citrus County. Yeah. But it is primarily a retirement community. So I sat down with this high producing agent team, husband and wife team. They are the sweetest people in the entire world. And I come in and I go, all right, I want to sit down with you. You are the top 20% of our agents in this market center. Talk to me about your dynamic. And I am not kidding when I say to you, I went, show me your database. And they went, Well, we have some of these recipe cards here that have people's names on them.
Oh my.
We
Thank
have
you.
some of these over here, which is, this is his notepad that he writes things down on. And then here's my phone. Oh, boy. I realized after I did an analysis, simply by not following up, they, over the course of their career, had lost $12 million in business. And I'm talking GTI, money in their pockets. Okay, they have lost $12 million. They were at the point, they were looking for an exit strategy. They were looking at, how do I get out of real estate? I don't have to sell this till the day that I die. They don't want to be like showing houses and fall over, right? We all need an exit strategy, but they didn't have a system in place that was going to make generating leads easier. They were working just as hard as the day they started. If in your business, if you were working just as hard on the last day of your business as you were on the first day of your business, you did it wrong, folks. You did it wrong. It should get easier. You should be able to eventually deal with setback, but you can't do that without systems. You can't do that with figuring out how you're going to not just capture leads, but also connect with the leads, cultivate those leads. We're today, what we're talking about is the long-term cultivation. That's what follow-up is, long-term cultivation. Okay, before we get to a closing table. Now, we know that we have possible business that's in our database. We have probable business that is in our database. And then we have profitable business that is in our database. What does that mean to you when I say possible business? What is that in your database?
Something that's raised there.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
Okay.
sometimes.
What if I want to buy or sell a house and I can have it raise my hands? That's me possible.
Possible businesses, if they're in your database.
Yeah. Okay. What about when I say probable business? What does that mean to you? Those are the raise their hand folks, right? So they raise their hands and they say, I want to do business in the next however many months. And you need to determine for your business what right now business is and what long-term business is and what nurture business is. All right, everybody's business looks a little different in terms of, okay? Now, then there's profitable business. When I say profitable business, what do you think I mean?
It's what you're doing business with right now, what you've done business with in the past, people who have been giving you referrals.
Profitable business are those VIPs in our database. They're those people that are shouting our names from rooftops, our raving fans. Okay, they are the people that are your biggest advocate when they are sitting at a table and someone says, hey, I need to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. They go, oh my gosh, you should know my friends. You should talk to them. Okay, those are profitable people, right? And those are people we want to build our businesses on. So how do we create raving fans? Anybody? How do we create raving fans?
Communicate with them, love on them.
Yeah. How do we make them feel special? We call them. We have a system. Never call them up. We don't just talk to them when you're too clean, so we run into the grocery store. Right? We create a system around making them feel special. Right? Follow-up is a lot more than just a phone call. I would say follow-up is a feeling. If you're top of mind and you make them feel good, people remember how you make them feel, which means they will remember you. Okay. So after lead generation, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you can master. It's for possible business, that comes from lead generating activities, turns into probable business and ultimately profitable business. Fine. All right, what are your ahas?
Need systems.
Systems. You're gonna get so sick of hearing me say that. Run a business like.
I'm
a
still
business.
stuck on, did you say that someone had lost about 12 million in GCI? Did I hear
is
that correctly?
correct. That is correct. Here's the thing, and their average price point, now mind you, these folks have been in business a very long time, but their average price point in Citrus County was at the time less than $200,000. And when I say that this is a lot of money lost over a very long career, I'm not kidding. And these are folks that were not living like kings and queens, but damn, that $12 million could have helped. They could have retired a long time ago.
Well, bless their hearts.
Yes. Bless.
I learned what that really means when I moved here. It is not a compliment.
It is not. It's like when I worked at Disney, when we tell you to have a magical day. I'm gonna tell you, that's me. I really like to.
I mean, for me.
I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have magic right now. If someone looks at you and goes, have a magical day.
I'm just
All
gonna
right.
say, bless your heart.
Equivalent to bless your heart, okay?
I'll be able to use that.
And then you got.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I worked in investor relations at Walt Disney World for many years. So essentially I was the company punching bag, right? Then I became a leader within that area. And as a leader, the only people you talk to are the people who have already beat up your cast members verbally, and they're really, really unhappy. And they go, I want to talk to your manager. And then that's when I came. There was a lot of bless your heart that happened because I always had very low patience for the people who said things to me like, I spent my entire life saving to come here. Guys, maybe empathy is an area of opportunity for me when it comes to this, but if you spent your entire life savings to go to Walt Disney World, what are you gonna do when you get home and maybe your house burned down when you were here? What are you gonna do if you get home, Sally needs braces? Sorry, Sally, you gotta have messed up teeth, rest of your life, we have to go to Disney World. Is that the plan? Like, come on, make your choice.
Your kid is not a lesser person because he didn't.
That's correct. Correct. But ultimately, we can make that decision. So my job was to just avert crisis and that was it. All right. So next step. We're going to talk about how to convert a lead to an appointment. In this section, we are going to talk about specific steps of lead conversion model for converting. All right. Capturing is defined as collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information for a potential buyer or seller. At its simplest, capturing is collecting the minimum amount of contact information. This could include names, a way to get a hold of them, an email, a phone number. Do you think that cuts it? Do you think that's enough? I mean, for some people it may be. I think it depends on the business you want to run. I'm the type of person that when I'm interacting with someone, I take a copious amount of notes. Crazy notes. Someone says to me, my son, I can't meet with you or I can't talk to you right now. Sorry about your son's soccer game. I'm like, cool, it is Saturday morning, they're at a soccer game. Son's in soccer, check, it goes in the notes. So the next time I talk to them, I can say, how's it go? They'll be like, oh my gosh. Really, soccer game was fantastic, you won. All right. Another one I found really interesting is that so many agents don't capture the information about people's pets. Pets are babies. So the National Association of Realtors puts out every year a profile of home buyers. And so a couple of years ago, I thought there was a staggering statistic that came out in it. And it was that first-time home buyers, the number 2 reason that they were purchasing homes was a yard for their pets. Okay, so if we don't know if they have pets, we totally messed up. We got no one to blame but ourselves on it. Okay. We all know that there's an entire generation of people that are waiting longer to have kids. So if all you're doing is filling out when you're filling out your database, all you're doing is putting in kid information and disregarding them if they don't have kids and taking down other information, you're not taking into consideration what they consider their kids. Okay.
Can I add something onto that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm just for reference, I'm 26, my husband is 29. So we're in that age where people are looking at us like, all right, when are those kiddos coming? And we're
Right.
like, they're not, because we have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So there's your kids. And when we bought our house in 2020, one of the make or breaks, like, a need versus a want, one of the needs was I looked at my realtor and said, do not show me a house that does not have a privacy fence, because I have 2 Siberian Huskies. Huskies are notorious escape artists. And I made it very, very, very clear that that is a high priority. Had he kept showing me, and not that he did this, but had he shown me houses that did not have a privacy fence, it would have royally diminished my opinion of him, because I have spoken to other agents that, and not that they're doing this intentionally, but they were like, oh, well, you can just build a fence, you can just do this, you can just do that. No, I want it move-in ready, so my dogs, I can just open the door and they have a backyard. That was a major priority for
Those
me.
realtors
So
don't have Siberian Huskies. They don't realize the run factor there.
they do
Open the
not.
door and
They do not. And it was, it was a major, major bonus that my realtor was so respectful of that, and he understood where we were coming from, and he didn't try to dissuade us from certain houses, even if they may be more aligned with our price range, or they fit this, they fit that. He understood just how important that need was, and that
Yeah.
it wasn't just me being a difficult customer, or just it was just a want. It was a need to have a fence like that. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting because sometimes when we are, especially even when we get to know our customers a little better, we will impress upon them our belief system, right? So maybe we, in our own beliefs, are very family focused in building a small unit of a family or whatever that might be. But that might not be the other person's belief system, right? We have to be very, very cognizant, once again, that we are treating people the way they want to be treated and taking it seriously. If that realtor had just been like, oh, you're so silly caring about those dogs, let me show you this house with all these extra bedrooms for when you have kids, wink, wink, thinking they're being kind, and folks, I've seen it happen. It's not great, okay? We have to be very careful how we walk around that. Because these are all protected classes. Familial status is a protected class. We are talking about fair housing at this point. Okay?
Also, you don't know what people are going through. Like, they are not gonna tell you all their private business, most likely, and maybe they have infertility issues, and maybe they've been trying for years to have a baby.
Right.
And when you say, oh, there's room for the kids, and they come along, then the wife breaks down crying because you're insensitive, like,
Right,
you just
yeah.
avoid that situation and just don't.
Well,
Yeah.
and everybody values things different, right? So like I had a customer who he was. Okay, Orlando's a weird place, let me preface with that, okay? So you get people from all over the world that have very strange jobs in Orlando. So this particular couple, they both were animal keepers at Disney's Animal Kingdom. They were both very, very passionate about their jobs as animal keepers. To the point that the husband rescued animals. But not your typical animals, folks. He rescued reptiles. His entire garage was aquarium after aquarium after aquarium full of reptiles. So a must-have for him was enough power running to the garage that he could maintain all of these tanks in the garage. Both ways. Now, there was a part of me that was like, this is super icky. There's nothing I hate more in the world than frogs. It is an irrational fear.
And what?
Frogs. I understand. Every person in my life has looked at me in this way, okay?
He has an irrational fear.
I understand. It is a completely irrational fear. And when I walked in and I see tank after tank, and some of them had like frogs, and some had like weird lizards, and some had super weird snakes. And I was like, oh, these were his babies. This was his passion. Okay. My job was not to impress upon them what I thought was important in a house for them. It was finding what was important for them. However, if I had asked him the right questions and had known what his occupation was, what his passions were, how he likes to give his spare time, I wouldn't have understood how important these tanks of weird frogs were in his garage. Okay. Yes, and I had to get past it. It was a real growth moment. It really was. It's great. I would come home and I went to my husband and I was like, I need you to pray with me. God, give me the strength to get to this transaction. All right. So, collecting the minimum amount of information, that is capturing a lead. Okay, and we know the conversation frameworks here were, if I can contact you, what number would that be at? I'm gonna go one step further and tell you, I wouldn't stop here. It would be, if I can't get a hold of you via phone, what's the next best way for me to contact you? Or how do you prefer to be communicated with? Call, text, or email, and in what order? What's the best time of day for me to contact you? If I can't get a hold of you as the primary point of contact, do you have someone that has a secondary point of contact that I can be interacting with? Okay? And I'll tell you, when you ask that question, it's also very interesting because you start to figure out sometimes who the decision makers are, even if they are not on the deed or that mortgage. Okay?
I had a mother-in-law join our buyer site since Sunday morning for 4 hours with new buyers, brand new buyers, 21, 29, first time home buyers. And the mother-in-law had enough information to be dangerous, which is pretty typical, but I had to tread real lightly. You don't want to make her mad. So we're sitting there and the husband asked what's, because I said, well, this is, we were talking about the offer to purchase and loans, and I said, well, your loan is conventional, and he's like, what's the difference between FHA and conventional? She proceeds to tell him that to have an FHA loan, you have to have a kid, and your payment changes as your income changes. So I let her talk, and I was like, when did you get that FHA loan? She was like, oh, back in the 90s. I was like, I think things have changed a little, because that's not really the case anymore. Like,
Right.
I let her be right, but also like gently corrected her because she's the decision maker.
She's
The first house we saw was the perfect house for them and they should have jumped on it. Well, you don't want to buy the first house you see.
Oh, if you love it and it checks all your boxes, there's nothing wrong with buying the first house. that you see.
Right.
What's
Exactly.
the point of looking for at 100 houses to go back and be like, man, which one I bought?
That's correct.
So,
I just had this conversation with a customer I'm working with right now. Gosh. So for those of you that don't know, I am still in production in Florida, okay? I'm still helping people buy and sell houses. And I had a customer who, I did a full buyer consultation, and I'm feeling like I know my stuff, and I've got the full thing filled out, and I'm following up with them, and they're finally like, okay, we saw this house, we really like it, let's go look at it. So we go to look at it, and they're walking around, and guys, when I tell you this was a polished turd, I am not exaggerating, okay? We get a lot of flips in Florida. Everyone wants to be an investor in Florida. Whew, no, I would say 85% of them shouldn't be doing it. All right, so this was a flip. I could tell it was a flip from the second I walked in by the telltale luxury vinyl plank gray wood look tile on the floor. That is an every flip. I walked in and I was like, okay, they're looking around, and she goes, I was like, okay, let me tell you about this house. This house was built in 1960. All right. The current owner of this house bought this house in September. Okay. He tried to rent it, dropped the rent 4 times. No one rented it and put it on the market. Okay. He's also a real estate agent, owner. Okay, with a different brand. He is a real estate agent. He knows what he has. Good, bad, ugly, and different. He knows. They're like, so do you have the seller's property disclosure? First of all, for you guys to be aware, in the state of Florida, it is required that you provide a seller's property disclosure. Even if they don't fill it out, they can put a watermark on it that says, no knowledge. And it's so frustrating. There's no way you can mark this not have something. Right? Especially if you just flipped it.
right,
Hi, you know what is in those walls.
only.
Know the things. Right, and I said, he's not providing any information because he is not occupied the property. I am not an inspector. I am not a mold abatement engineer. But this house smells like mold. Okay. I could smell it when I walked in. And I have allergies, and I walked in and my throat did one of these, like, I was like, I am gonna be standing on the front porch. And you folks can come talk to me in the bench. So, essentially, she comes out, she's like, I love it, let's put it in an offer. This is it, this is the house. I was like, I am happy to help you. And my job as your fiduciary consultant is to make sure you are making smart financial decisions. I understand your financial situation, and I know that you are not flush with cash. All right, so if there are things that need to be repaired after you move into the home, do you have the cash necessary to do that? This is when she says to me, oh yeah, so my uncle owns insert huge construction company here. And he has told me whatever house I buy, he will just come in and redo it for me. And I'm like, oh, well, this is a horse in a different color, right? Like, I am happy to write an offer for you on this turn. Let's do it. Okay. All right. But I was like, I know what you mean. I used to be in manager where you work. You do not make more money. How's this happening? All right. But when her uncle, who's also her godfather, is going to just rip out the whole thing and redo it, then God bless, let's do it, right? So where that story was going is, I thought I had asked the right questions, but come to find out, uncle is actually kind of like a decision maker in this. Okay? Because if it's too far gone, then even the uncle's not gonna touch it. It's not right now. Okay? Now there's another one that they looked at, they didn't get that house.
So how did we have that?
Okay,
Did
so,
Uncle see the house for the offering?
so uncle called me. I get a lot of phone calls from parents, uncles. I work primarily with first time home buyers and first time home sellers. I love that. God bless, I love them so much. But I get a lot, like, these are grown adults and then like a secondary adult in their life steps in, like they could make decisions. Oh boy. So the uncle calls me, I'm like, well, you're not party to the transaction, sir, so there's some things I cannot tell you about the actual offer itself, but I can tell you a little bit about the house. Per public records, this is what I know, this is what you can access as well online. And he finally was like, level with me. She said that you said to her that you could smell mold in that house. And I said, there is mold behind the cabinets in the kitchen without a doubt. I'm like, they don't even have to get inspection, and I just know from experience, there's probably an issue with the roof, and because it's down that wall, and it's caused moisture behind the wall. Like, I know, I've been in this business just long enough to be dangerous, okay? Because I know enough to get myself in trouble. Now, I could be wrong, it has been known to happen. But in my professional opinion, that's probably the situation. Sure enough, they paid for a very expensive full inspection, including like moisture radar, whole nine on the walls. And I'd like to point out, I was right. And they ended up backing out. They went back in and asked for $30,000 reduction. Because we didn't need a brand new roof. All those cabinets were gonna be taken out. Gross to me. Yes. Oh, gosh, no, you guys are gonna learn, I'm very experienced person, frogs are not really one of them.
I'm sorry, that was mean. I'm sorry. I regretted it as soon as I did that.
That was appreciate you, I appreciate you.
Couldn't fight those intrusive thoughts.
I love that. So we ended up backing out of the deal. We asked for $30,000 at closing. It was only a $310,000 deal. But it was gonna cost between ripping out the full kitchen, because all the cabinets had to go, when the cabinets and the countertops had to go, right? New drywall, any mold abatement within the wall. We didn't know if there was any damage to the flooring that was underneath the cabinets, because the cabinets weren't installed properly, they were installed on top of the flooring. Right, because it was a flip and they didn't do it right. Shocker.
This slab or something.
Slab.
Generally, have problems.
Oh, no, not unless you're gonna be scuba diving, we don't.
What is this?
I'm actually stoked, I'm looking at houses here that have basements, I've never had one in my whole life. I'm so excited, I was like, ooh, I get to be a basement person, I love this. So fun, okay. So make sure that when you are connecting with your customers, you're collecting all of the pertinent information. Who are all of those people that are going to be those decision makers? And when I say follow up, I'm not just talking about them. I'm saying all the decision makers. So when the deal fell through, I reached out to the uncle and I said, hey, uncle, they've decided to pass on this house. Thank you so much for your knowledge and your assistance in this. And moving forward, would you like to be looped in on the homes they are viewing? I'm happy to add you to the search so you can see what they like. And he's like, that would be really great. It was like 2 clicks. But now I got a customer out of him, right?
Yeah.
Because now he sees me as the professional that cares about him because he cares about his guy. Right?
Save you,
Pardon?
also save you some trouble getting him to leave.
Oh, or you have no idea. Yeah. Absolutely. There, I mean, at a certain point, I'm like, I care to never meetings, but like, whoa. Right? Right. All right. So it wants me to remind you that when you are connecting with people, make sure that you're reiterating your value proposition. So messaging, right? When I'm following up with folks, I know my value proposition is about education. And because I know that when I reach out to them to follow up, a lot of the conversations I have are around education. And what I mean by that is I will call and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know, I just attended a course on new loan products that are out there. Would you be interested in some more information on that? I'm happy to provide you with that information. I want to be the source of the education. So when they think about how do I learn more about real estate, they think about me. Right? Because that is part of my value proposition. So I would challenge you to say, when you are following up with your customers, how are you embedding your value proposition in what you're doing? How are you making that connection? No. You can do it.
Sometimes you have to click on the screen part, especially if you've like done something.
There we go. Okay, 6 connection questions. Who are they? What do they want or need? Where do they want or need it? Why do they want or need it? When do they want or need it? And how do they plan to do it? We all learned the who, what, where, why, when's, and how in elementary school, right? We all know that this is the basis of all great questions. So when you're communicating with your customers, I would love for you guys to start to document how many times you're actually asking these questions. Okay? Let me clarify that when you're communicating with them, it's as little as a dash mark. But it's about being purposeful about asking these kinds of questions that help to feed your database, build up those profiles so that the communication is meaningful in the future. Where the follow-up gets weird and where people don't want to do follow-up is because it got weird, it's because they didn't know this stuff. And so now the communication feels inauthentic. It feels like you're bothering them. When I coach agents, that is the very first thing that I hear from people is, I don't want to come across as salesy. Calling them all the time after they've already done business. I know they don't want to buy or sell a house. I just look like a sleazy salesperson. Well, first of all, don't be sleazy.
Yeah, if you sound that way, then maybe you need to change your.
And then my next question is do you know this information? Because if you know this information, you should never come across as a sleazy salesperson. These are ways to build authentic relationships. And this is more than just in your business. This is just in general relationships, folks. If you're single and you're dating, ask these questions. Okay, this is how we build relationships. I know. I got married 10 years ago, loved my life, and my girlfriends are all just getting married now. So I spent a decade watching them all date while I was married. It looked awful. Okay. I joke with my husband all the time, doesn't have to worry about divorcing him because I never wanted it again. It looks so bad. All right, so who are they? What do they want or need? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want to need or do it? And how do they plan to do it? Okay? You can't know or predict when they will come to a decision. But if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. That's when you'll be able to close for the appointment. So that's the main difference between lead generation and follow-up. What is the purpose of lead generation? You've read the MREA, we talk about it a lot. It's to set the appointment. You are lead generating to set an appointment. Right? Follow-up is about being there and being top of mind, so you can set the appointment later. Okay? Those of you that have not read the MREA, first of all, do it,
And then do it again.
and then do it again, and then do it once a year for the rest of your life. Those of you that haven't read Shift, this one changed the way I view my business. The one thing changed my whole life. Whole life. Okay, so if you have not read the one thing, I will get on a soapbox about that later, but you need to read that one too. But Shift will change your business. Okay? So it says, at its simplest, it's just collecting information. But it's about a lot more than just collecting information. We are actually about making sure that we are reconnecting with people and we're doing it in a systematic way. All right? Every single person that's in your data bank, you should know when the next time is that you're gonna talk to them. And what you're gonna talk to them about, by simply glancing at your CRM. I don't expect you to know that off the top of your head. Right? But it's about having the information within command. And I'm gonna tell you, I love command. But if you're not gonna use it, find something you're gonna use, because I want you to use the CRM. Okay?
But it's stupid to pay.
It's stupid to pay for something, but lots of people make stupid decisions, so, I mean, this is fact, all right?
Something that you pay for in this.
Yeah, it's absolutely free, it's right there, it works, and I want you to find something you're gonna use. Okay? Because the dumbest decision is having a CRM you don't. Alright.
It took me a while to use command, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't for a while.
Well, and I can tell you,
I don't use anything now.
I can tell you, I've used lots of different CRMs. I mean, I've used HubSpot, I've used Boomtown, I've used KD4, I've used Follow-Up Box,
Oh my.
okay? I know how all of them work. And guess what, guys, they're literally all the same, all right? Some of them are different, a little bit different feature here, a little bit of different user interface there. Some people are like, wow, this one's so much better. What makes it better is that you used it. Okay, that's what made it better. The one that you start seeing value in the return, that's what makes it better. So. Okay, when asking for the appointment, which format do you think is the most effective way?
Depends on. What, I mean. It depends on the person, but voice is always better. But
You can get on them in person, 'cause it's hard for people to say no to your face.
Oh,
that's, yeah. But sometimes there's, like, I have a few clients that are difficult to understand. So there's a little bit of a language barrier there, and I find text is better because they can see exactly what I'm saying.
and they can take the time to read it and
Yes.
translate what they need to.
Yes, and the same goes for me, like, I can see exactly. Well, sometimes. The text is a little,
Yeah.
like, I did misinterpret something the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, but I feel like with some, it just depends on the time. But
Yeah. But I bet it actually went a long way with them that you admitted that you didn't understand and that you made a mistake. Right? What I find with my customers who English is their second language. They never expected their language to be my first language. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where we lose with people that English is their second language is when we feel like English should have been their first language.
Take the entitlement out of it.
Or when we do the, oh, you don't speak my language, so I'm just gonna talk to you in English, slower and louder.
Like you're an idiot.
Like they're not dumb, they don't speak your language. Okay. Slower and louder does not win, all right? It's not gonna magically make them understand English, right?
Also on a phone call too, I mean, sometimes you don't have this connection. I was talking to the guy who said, and we just kept going in and out,
Mhm.
you know.
I have the worst service in my house in Florida. To the point that like, I go and stand in the driveway and walk up and down the sidewalk next to my house, because I have better service there than inside my house. I have talked to Verizon so many times, I'm blue in the face, I have a repeater in my house, I have all of these things. And I'm still, the poor neighbors see me outside in my slippers and my jammy pants, walking up and down the sidewalk on the phone, and I didn't care, like I gotta make them call, like I don't know what you want. I'm not getting dressed up with them. Alright?
They're gonna miss.
Well, I just got a nasty grant from my HOA. So. I have a love-hate relationship with HOAs. Yeah. I love that they help with the overall aesthetic of the community, and I love that like my neighbor can't paint their house black. I don't love when my house is not even 4.5 years old, and they tell me I have to repaint it to the tune of like $7,000. And when I plan on selling it like in a month, and now.
Why would you need to repaint this like pressure wash it or something? Why does it need to be repainted?
Because it's required by the HOA that every 4 years, your house is repainted. To keep up with the aesthetic of my beautiful community, and my community is gorgeous, and that's why I wanted to live there, now I'm immediately regretting.
At least you're new.
Keep that in mind, when you come up here. Sure.
It's a selling point.
I know, I've been looking up here, there's so many places that don't have HOAs, which is astonishing to me, because like every place in Florida.
Pretty positive, there's not any HOAs that require you to paint your house every 4 years.
Not ever.
I'm required once a year to pressure wash the sidewalk in front of my house and down the side of my house on the corner lot. Required once a year to do that. I'm required to, like, our grass will be cut to like a certain height.
Oh my God, please tell me somebody comes around with it.
Oh,
Please
they
tell me.
do.
Like you can't be so short.
It can't be too short because in Florida it will die if they cut it too short.
Well, that's.
So it has to be maintained at a certain height. So then I hired a guy, so first it's August in Florida, it's 1.5 million degrees, so I hired a guy to mow my lawn. I guess I wasn't clear enough with him, and he cut it like maybe like 1/4 of an inch too short. And I got a nasty grant from the HOA to rectify the situation within 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, the grass will grow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it, it's gonna be good.
Great.
Water
Right.
extra.
What are they telling you to fertilize or what?
Especially the, I called the community manager and I was like,
You gotta talk to them.
I'm like, you're gonna have to explain this to me, because maybe I'm not understanding. Can I just let it grow out? And she was like, let me get back to you on that, like, clearly
Oh,
no one
really?
ever asked you. That's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, that's my disdain for HOAs. But the answer to this question is it's the way they want to communicate? That's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
The answer to the question is, when asking for appointment, which one do you think is most effective? It's the one that's the way your customer wants to communicate, not the way you want to communicate. Okay? Like I have a customer, she lives in Norway, she's an investor in Florida, I've sold several of her properties and helped her buy several properties in Florida. There's a big time difference between here and Norway. Okay, so she prefers I email her and she emails me back. Also, English is her second language. I don't know anyone that can help me translate Norwegian, so. She can write an email, Google Translate and send it to me.
Right.
Works out really well. Okay? All right. In the end, if they can meet. Hold on, that is very heavy. Okay. If they can meet and have a good reason to meet, they will. If they don't, they won't. And that's okay. You really don't care what their what their answer ultimately is, because you're not getting people to do anything they don't want to do. You're going to ask and respond until they agree meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win. So in terms of what this actually means, what Gary is saying here in Shift, I had a real estate coach when I first started in real estate because I was not great when I first started. I needed some serious help, and Ignite was not enough for me, so I went private coach. Okay? My coach said to me, we keep following up until they buy, die, or file a restraining order. Okay? Now, I don't know that that's the best policy, but what I will tell you is that the sentiment is correct. We don't stop following up with them because they said they don't want to meet with us or they don't need our services right now. We keep following up until they do need the service, right? Please don't go as far as to get a restraining order, for the love of God, don't do that, okay? But if we stopped every time they said, no, I'm good, I don't need anything right now, or no, I don't know anyone that needs any help right now, we have very short careers in real estate. Okay, so the fortune is in the follow-up, you have to keep going even when faced with that rejection, okay? So what are your ahas, guys?
I think remembering to ask people how they want to be communicated with is a big deal, and when, like, time of day, what works for you. I have a client that works nights. If I call him at noon, that's the middle of the night.
Yeah, so my husband is in the entertainment industry, I think I told you guys that before. He's a lighting designer. And he does everything from theme parks to Broadway shows to all kinds of stuff. I mean, I think he's even done like a go-kart track recently, it's very strange, okay?
Super cool.
But he does all of his work at night, right? He has to do the work when no one else is there. And so do all of his friends that are the technicians, that are helping to program those lights or run the electrics or do the rigging or any of those things. So a big portion of my business are people like that that are in the entertainment industry. Which means a lot of my lead generation happens very early in the morning or very late at night. Because very early in the morning is like them getting out of work. Okay, and very late at night is them getting up to get ready to go to work. Or sometimes they don't even go in until 10 o'clock. So I start doing lead gen around 8. Put my son to bed, and I start doing my lead gen and my follow-up. Because that's when I can connect with people. All right? It's about knowing your customers and knowing how they want to be communicated with. Anything else?
To me, this just screams like how important it is to have a buyer consultation. I mean, I know that like the whole point of the follow-up is to get the appointment, but like making sure that when you get the appointment, that your consultation is answering all those questions.
100%. 100%.
That's not the purpose, one is, you talk about that, do it when you're right, personal relationship.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. As far as personal relationships,
Mhm.
you know, and,
If they need me, they'll call me, or one of those people.
no, I'm just basically talking about personal relationships, not to do with business at all.
Yeah. See, I like that in my personal relationships, like I've had to work really hard, especially as an adult, and maintain adult relationships and friendships.
It's so hard.
It is so hard, right? Life gets in the way. To the point that like, I was joking with my friends that I want to start a CRM, like just like a separate one, just for friends, to remember to follow up with them and keep up with their lives.
Yes.
Like, my best friend since kindergarten. Her daughter is my goddaughter, all right? I haven't spoken to her since Thanksgiving. She didn't know I was moving to Kentucky. Okay, she didn't even know. So I was in the airport yesterday, and she happened to send me a TikTok, and like we were talking about it. And she's like, where are you? And I was like, the Louisville airport. And she said, what are you doing there? To which I realized, holy crap balls, I didn't tell Katie I was moving to Kentucky.
Is she one for it?
No, she lives in Michigan.
Oh, she's really excited when you're close.
Yeah, so when I had to get them the phone while I was waiting for my baggage claim and called her and was like, I owe you a huge apology. Life got in the way. And you hadn't called me and I hadn't called you, and we just had these snarky TikToks back and forth, and that seems like that is what adult relationships have turned into. But she's a teacher of fourth graders and she has 4 kids.
And she's tired.
Girl's tired. And she
tired.
lives on a mini farm too. So she's like keeping up this farm, and she's a 4th grade teacher, and she's got 4 kids, and she's like, you know, so she's got her life. And I got a husband, and 3 of her kids are teenagers. Right? 3 of those kids are teenagers. Oh, they're oh my god.
She probably drinks a lot.
I do teenager. I was thinking of drink last night and then the HVAC exploded, right? Like,
Girl, I bought a bottle of wine from Kroger yesterday, okay? Yes. All right, so we're gonna talk about improving your conversion rate and how you can improve your conversion rate. What do you think the key factor is in improving your conversion rate, converting people from follow-up to actual right now business? What's the key factor here?
meeting them.
Knowing your numbers, guys.
Oh, yes, that's.
You can't know your conversion rate if you don't know your numbers. So Gary Keller talks about, you know, when you don't have a goal, everything seems like a good idea. Okay? And one step further from that is, you feel like the best real estate agent in the world when you don't know your numbers. You got it all together. And you're gonna keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again when you don't know your numbers. All right? All right. So how do we improve our conversion rate? Well, we improve it first and foremost by making sure that we set aside a specific time for follow-up. So we're time blocking that time. And we are protecting it in the same way we do our lead generation time. The next step is using our systems, systematically following up and keeping track of connecting with our database. So does this have to be complicated? No. All right. But you have to know how many people you've talked to and how many people you moved forward in your pipeline. That's how you determine your conversion rates.
So only we have something that we can.
If only we had a system already provided for free to us. Right? So Command does that for you. But here's the thing, once again, the system that works is the one that you use. So I don't care if you've got one of those like old school, like silver clickers on your desk and you're keeping track that way. If that means that that's what works, by all means, write it down. There was a lovely, lovely person that I was working with out of the Mount Dora Market Center. So Mount Dora is a very interesting place. It's actually a business center. Okay, because it is like in the middle of nowhere, Florida, like North Lake County, Florida. And I would go out there and I would teach classes for them. There was this one particular agent that I really connected with. Now she's younger. I mean, she's younger than I am. And she's the most old school person I've ever met. Like she's carrying like a paper planner. Love it. Carrying a paper planner. She had a dry erase board on her desk. And when she made her calls, it was the little hash marks on her dry erase board. And then every day, at the end of the day, in the back of her planner, she had this sheet where she kept track of how many contacts she made, how many appointments she set, and everything. And everyone gave her all kinds of crap about it. They were like, come on, use the technology, right? End of the day, when I sat down with Ashley, she knew her numbers. She could hand it to me in a second.
You gotta do what works for you.
Yes, once again, whatever CRM works for you, whatever communication, right? So if your customer says to you, you know, they want to be communicated in a certain way, if that's the way it's gonna work, freaking do it, folks. Do you guys know what the Marco Polo app is? No one does. It's a silly app where people shoot little videos and send them back and forth to each other. I closed the entire deal that way. Because my lovely Gen Z customer only wanted to communicate via Marco Polo videos. And he bought a brand new house, new construction, stunning property, all through videos on Marco Polo. Okay. So, but that's what worked for him.
Yeah.
Right? That's where he was already communicating with his friends. I communicate with people on Snapchat. While they want to communicate, on there. It's hard for me at 40 because I remember when Snapchat was invented and it wasn't for that kind of communication.
I'll tell you later.
Like, there's a reason why all those pictures disappeared.
That sounds lazy. Really?
Yes. Not right. I mean, it's evolved. It's not that anymore. I mean, it was not primarily that anymore. But that was why it was invented. There was a reason the pictures all this. All right, so the next step here though, beyond using your systems and using systems and having the right conversations. So remember, we're keeping track of all of our numbers here. It's connecting with the whole database. Now, I want to do real talk for a second. How many of you have people in your database, but you skip over them every time you make your phone calls?
Yep.
Why? Why do you skip over them?
Because it's my babysitter, one of them is my babysitter from Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
who I have not talked to.
He's got friends though.
Yeah, she was
Maybe he lives in Kentucky.
I don't know.
We have Keller Williams in Indiana, you know that's true. It's not Mars, it's like right there. It's like.
Girls, young people who live down.
She is young.
Yeah.
She just got a teaching job.
There you go. And it's so funny that lots of people, the thing that they tell me, the reason they don't communicate with everybody in their database is either A, I can't reach out to them, that'd be weird, it's been too long. The spokespeople will only look like I'm reaching out to them to do business. Or they go, well, it's not really my connection, maybe it's my husband's, or maybe it's so-and-so, maybe it's my kid's coach, but he's in my database. Because I'm gonna say, if you're not actually gonna communicate with them, why are they in your database? Are you just doing that to have your numbers? To look like you have a bigger database?
I transferred all my contacts.
There you go. They just probably contact you with the phone, great. But if you're never gonna call this friend, is the number simply there so you can say, I have 250 people in my database? And if that's the case, why are they cheating? Because you don't have to cheat.
You shouldn't delete people.
You're cheating your business at that point. You're right, you shouldn't delete people, you should reach out to them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to be communicating with your whole database. That is the key word here.
There's some people you can talk to before and
That is correct. So I do have 1 day a week where I call the people that I know are gonna talk the longest. And I commit to the whole day to lead generation or in follow-up. Like I don't take any appointments. And I do that because I know that I'm gonna call like my friend Jennifer. I love her to pieces. I helped her buy a house. She's a wonderful person. Girl's got stories and she's gonna talk. I literally will pour a coffee before I get on the phone with Jennifer, because I know it's not gonna stop. And my husband laughs, because there are sometimes I can put her on speaker and I can be like doing dishes, I can be like doing whatever, and we're still talking, and doesn't even realize I'm not responding, and you know, but she feels special because I reached out to her. Right, and I am top of mind. she's referred me to 6 people.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I've gotten 7 pieces of business out of her in total. All right, once again, it's not about how we feel, it's about how we make them feel. Okay, so yes, it might be uncomfortable, but how special would she feel if we reached out to her and we're just like, hey, I just wanted to call and say, I am so sorry, because I have not connected with you in a while.
Well, I find that when I do connect with people like that I haven't talked to in a while, I use Facebook. And I'll message them on Facebook and I'll be like, hey, I saw that you just blah, blah, blah. Like you just got a job at Burnett Creek where I used to teach and her mom teaches and
Yeah,
like, if I use stuff like that, it's easier.
yeah.
It's not as weird that I haven't talked to you.
I have found that my customers actually appreciate though when I admit I screwed up, that I was a bad friend. And I'll do it, that's exactly my scripts. Hey, it's good to talk to you, first of all. Thank you for taking my call. Secondly, I owe you an apology. It has been far too long since we have communicated. And I just wanted to touch base with you to genuinely see how you're doing. Because that is true, I'm not lying, I do genuinely care about these people, or they would not be in my world.
Yeah.
And then I go into the 4th conversation. How's your family? How's work? You know, what are you doing for recreation right now? Like, what are you doing? Are you planning trips for the summer? Like, what are you doing? And what are your next steps after this? What do you guys have planned? It is not an uncomfortable conversation at that point. We're making people feel seen and heard. And now that you've opened that door, repeat communication isn't weird. Right? Sometimes we just have to eat that slice of humble pie and go, all right, I'll screw it up. Here we go.
Swallow the frog.
Eat the frog, eat the frog, right? Eat the frog, the name of that book.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so funny because I read like all of the self-help books out there. That's one I just haven't.
Please stay trial.
And I am sure there's great info in there. Just can't. Just cannot do that. It's it. All right, so in the next part, it talks about prioritizing qualified leads. What's a qualified lead?
Folks that we know that are planning to buy or
What makes someone qualified?
they purchase.
Ready, willing, and able. Right? I think we talked about that last week, right? Ready, willing, able. So if I talk to someone and they are ready, willing, and able to buy or sell or invest, do not forget investors. Those are very real people out there, okay? We fail to ask people about that all the time. Okay? So buy, sell, or invest in real estate, when I'm asking that question, if I know they are ready to do one of those 3 things, they all get a special tag. Okay? So once again, if you've heard me say it once, you're gonna hear me say it another 1,000 times. Tag your people. Tag them your best friends. Because now you can sort in your database by your tag. And you can pull up the whole list of just people that are qualified and ready to transact. And you can prioritize that communication. Come on, you can do it. So capture the appropriate information, connect and assess their needs to establish a relationship, cultivate the relationship, and close by asking for the appointment. If you don't know this by now, well, we've been talking about this, okay? Forever, all of this. But here's the hardest part, nobody does the thing at the bottom.
That's the hardest part, for me.
Asking for the appointment, why is that hard?
I don't know. Closing is hard in general.
Was it?
I don't know why.
I think that we make it too hard.
Probably.
How about this? Sharon, do you want to go get a cup of coffee?
Sure.
Cool. I closed for an appointment, folks. I'm happy to do. I got an appointment. It's great. It can be that simple. Because an appointment doesn't have to necessarily always feel like an appointment, the conversation can become that when you are sitting at that table. Right? So now when we're at coffee, I might say to her, I know a few months ago you had said you guys were interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate at some point. So have you guys thought about what your next steps are?
Nope.
No, okay, cool. Have you talked to a lender or anything like that yet? All right, great. You know what? I got a guy. I'm gonna text you his information right now. Why don't you reach out? In fact, I got a couple of them. When you send them over to you, you should shop around. See who can give you the best rates. I don't know if we're ready right now. You don't have to be ready right now, but you should know what your buying power is. Okay? All right, we're making it too hard. All right, we've talked ourselves into it being too formal. We've talked ourselves into it being too difficult. Real estate is very simple. It's not easy. Okay? Oh my goodness. Are we done already?
I guess.
Maybe you said that, Shane, you're good at making things difficult. I think most of us.
Yeah, I think we are. I really do think we are. All right, well, let's talk about some ahas then, guys. What are your ahas from today's class?
Follow up.
Follow up.
Be consistent.
Be consistent.
Go ask somebody to go to coffee with me.
Yeah.
Close.
Going back to the other thing, for me, I just realized that, I had a rough year last year, physically, mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
and so I kind of been away from those.
Well, welcome back.
But I mean, so, I wasn't realizing when I was making my wounds that I was really cutting myself off from other people. That's why I got to that relationship thing. There are some people that are givers, and that's me. I'm the one that calls everybody, writes to everybody. And I read something about, don't forget about the strong people.
Yeah.
Strong people are always forgotten about, and I think about the strong people that I have not reached out to because they're strong, they're good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how many times did anybody reach out to me when I'm with my women's girl? And then I had a kitty party, so, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
Go ahead and reach out to them, get back on track, get back into your relationships, and, it is what it is.
Yep.
So.
I'm gonna stand by.
And.
One appointment a week. My goal for you is one appointment a week. One appointment, whether that's coffee with friends, whether that's lunch, whether that's going to the library. Okay. We can turn those interactions into appointments, we can do that, right? We can have the right conversations. But if you did that once a week, 52 weeks in a year, even if you only converted half of those, would that change your world? Change your world. It is that simple. We stand in our own way. We build these walls that are so high around us, and they're built through this thought process that we are the only ones that are going through this. We are the only ones that feel this way. We are the only ones who, this is really hard and I'm not good at it, and they're gonna think all of these things. No one else has ever done that. We spiral. No one else has ever, tried something new or different or built a business of their own or anything like that. I'm the only one that's ever done it, and everyone's gonna think I'm crazy. Am I right? Yeah, we all do that. Everyone's done it. Whether it is your friend who started a crochet club, or whether it is, the dad that wants to start the soccer team for his kid. We've all done something that your friends looked at you and went, really? Okay, so if you go to your friend and you say, I'm gonna ask you about this, and I know you might think it's weird. But I'm asking because I genuinely care. First of all, you made them feel great. Secondly, taking the lead. And they're gonna realize that when it comes time to ask you for things, they have the permission to do that now. We are giving our friends and family around us permission to ask from us too. And we feel so special ourselves when people turn to us for help and ask us for things, right? If your friend called you and was like, hey, love you so much, will you help me move? You don't want to do it, but the fact that they love you so much that they thought of you makes you feel great. You're insane. I have a 3,000 square foot house that I am parking right now. Dear God,
Do you need help?
do I need help? I'm a housing mover. Here, about to jump at this point, so I'm stoked about the downsides, because I told my husband I don't want that big of a house anymore, it's too much to take care of. So when we move here, I'm not looking at like anything over like 22 or 2,400 square feet, I want something much smaller. But now I have 3,000 square foot of stuff to put in a much smaller house.
Throw over to a dumpster, throwing stuff away is the most freeing thing.
Well, we have something called college hunks hauling junk.
That's clever.
No joke. There are these guys, do you guys have that too?
I don't think we have that one specifically. We
Yeah,
have like
so
junk
it's a-
gatherers and-
It's franchise called College Hunks Hauling Junk. You can call them and two college dudes will come to your house and take away all your junk and it disappears. And it's magic.
They make good money.
They make good money. I took them well.
I mean, they make good money off your junk too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, good for them. They should.
Yeah.
Take the stuff I don't want. Whatever. So.
So we stuff on like Facebook Marketplace and all that stuff is more of a hassle than it's.
It's miserable. All right, so here's our recap. We know our success system, we know what we need to be doing. My question is gonna be having time blocks to actually do the thing. If I looked at your calendar right now, could I know what your goals are?
My goals are like my kids.
If I looked at your calendar right now, could I go, I know that you wanna close 18 units this year. Could I see that by looking at your calendar? It's a question.
Probably more than that.
Probably not. Okay. Yeah, okay. Not on your calendar. If it's on your calendar, it doesn't exist.
Where do you put that on the calendar? I mean, I'm gonna ask you some stupid questions now.
Girl, there's nothing
To make you able to get here.
And it's, I know that they're like, yeah, put it down, put it down. Part of it for me is like. I mean, like, I'm in here every day, so like in the morning, like I kind of know like what, it's not in my calendar, but I know that like what I'm doing. in the morning.
This is what my calendar looks like.
Post doc.
Hi. For those of you that can't see it, I'm gonna show you here. Here's my ridiculous calendar. Here it is. My world is time blocks. So you can see what my priorities are. I have very specific colors for very specific things. Y'all want to teach you a time blocking class, I'm happy to do that. All right, I take it very, very seriously because it is the only way that I can successfully be in production in Florida. Show up for you here. Show up for my son, show up for my husband, show up for my friends. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. I wasn't time blocking time to follow up with my friends. And so it wasn't happening. So I had to have a serious come to Jesus moment with myself on my drive from Louisville over here of where can I find a half an hour a week to call my friends? My adult friends that we all let life get in the way. Okay. So. It is no joke that if it's on your calendar, it doesn't exist. If it's on your calendar, you haven't made it a priority. Because things that are priorities are things you keep doing over and over and over again. right? Cool. All right, with that being said, I think we're out like pretty early, actually.
Myrna, that's Julie, say hi to Myrna.
Hi, Myrna.
Usually, we have a block from 9 to 11, it's in my calendar.
It is mine too.
It's what? It's in my calendar.
We're not getting the gift of time this morning. Yeah, 30 minutes.
So, yeah.
Leave or
Questions?
set your appointment.
Yes. I'll say, I think two things that like. That I want to figure out.
Mhm.
Some different tags that I'm not using that I should be using.
Okay.
Cause I do that,
Mhm.
but I think there are some tags that I could take advantage of. And I think in my head, I've tried to keep track in the past of what clients have pets. And like, that is a question that I asked like in the fire consultation, but it's not like a tag. If I should.
Yeah,
And
because if
like,
you have something like pause in the park or something like that that's happening. Wouldn't it be great if you could send out the reminder to them, hey, don't forget, at this park at this time, we're gonna be doing this pet, we're gonna be at this pet event. You don't even have to be participating, you just have to show up. So when they get there, they're like, oh my gosh, she was there, see, she did this thing. Like,
and then I feel like I mean, this is probably true of a lot of people. I have a database within my database.
Yeah.
Like, which a lot of those people are my like past clients and VIPs. But like, I feel like even outside of that, like I have that database and then I have a larger database and then I have a larger database.
right,
Like in the largest database, there are a lot of people in there that are like acquaintances and stuff that may occasionally get like a touch from me, but like I need to develop a system that works, that I can like, touch some of those people more often than.
yeah,
Because I know that there isn't,
smart.
there's a lot of money there, like you said. Like,
Everybody should get a front end.
yeah.
Everyone in your database. You should know at least the basic information for, right, which is their name, their address, their email, their phone number.
And I think,
And every single person should be on a front end.
and I think the largest database are the people that I don't have, I may not have addresses for. You know,
So that is the best way to connect with someone.
right, no, and
Yeah.
the other database, like I have a database of maybe. Well, close to 500 people that I do have addresses for.
So the
And I
address
do
is
that.
easy to get over, for the record. Address is very easy to get over. You shoot them a text message and go, hey, I wanted to send you a card, what's the best address for me to send it to?
But a lot of these people. And
Then send what you
I don't mind doing that for a lot of people, but though, like, a lot of the people in this largest database are people that like. I feel like that would be really weird, like, cause there's like. I'm talking about people that are very much
Christmas is a great time for me to get all of their addresses. Cause I always say, hey, I'm sending out holiday cards. I wanna send one to you, what's your address?
Right.
And that's how I can get it.
I mean,
And then every year I spend the first 2 weeks of January for me are always a year of like verifying everything, if you will. So I go back through. And I confirm with anybody that I have sold houses to, that they are still in those houses, because you know, sometimes they cheat on you, because you did do a good job following up with them. So I go and check the public record, beginning of the year. Anybody who has bought a house and needs to file for homestead, first 2 weeks of the year,
Mhm.
I send them a reminder to file for homestead.
You don't know what that is.
Yeah. So. But that's, once again, that's how I choose to time block my calendar to prioritize making sure my database is up to snuff heading into the new year. I wanna make sure I've set myself up for success. I also. I understand that I'm a weirdo, first of all. I've embraced it. But like one of my weirdo things that I do is I come up with. Let's call it content for each month of the year. Like social media content. So I know that in January, I'm gonna talk about this. I know in February, I'm gonna talk about this. March, I'm gonna talk about this. So like, for instance, in February, the things I talk about are the things that home buyers love. And in March, it's gonna be spring cleaning. right? April, how to, deal with water intrusion from rain. Right?
HVAC is flooding.
HVAC is flooding, that's an option. You would?
HVAC is flooded last night. It was really fun.
You know, but it isn't gonna be up to you what that is, but once again, I time block that at the beginning of the year. And then part of what I do is I then go through my database and I go, who is some of this stuff gonna really apply to, right? So I know that somebody that is my target for sellers, what buyers love, this is gonna be a targeted message to them. Right? Maybe people who are newer home buyers, who bought in the last year or two, have never dealt with flooding in Florida. I am going to talk to them about, what flood insurance is. And why you should have it even if you live on a mountain in Florida. Okay? I live at one of the highest peaks in Florida. It's the second highest peak in Florida, is where I live. Incredible. Still, there's still flooding in my town. Understand, Florida is basically never water. Okay, it is. We are basically all just scuba divers, and we live there. And we hope that someday. That's literally not like my town and like one other, and it's just the West Ocean, we're all spreading that. Okay. All right, so I would say this is a great way to get all of these people's information though, and say, hey, I'm putting together a campaign for something on flooding. I wanted to confirm your address to see if maybe this is something that would apply to you. Are you in a flood zone? Here's the thing, people are gonna think weird. You're telling yourself a story that they're gonna think weird. They're not. All right, if you reached out to me and said, hey, I got a bunch of information I pulled together on flood insurance. Do you know what flood zone you live in? And I would go, nope. I mean, that'd be so smart. But most people would say no. And then you can go, cool, what's your address? I can tell you if you live in a flood zone. Right? So. All right, anything else? Any other house?
Can we back up?
Yeah.
Because you said homestead exemption, or you said homestead.
Homestead exemption.
The exemption.
Yep.
But there's not been any changes to it, because we're talking about people over 60.
Yeah, but reach out to those buyers who not qualify for it, I think is what you said.
Who
Yeah.
now qualify.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you said
What is it?
anybody get bought home, so I was like.
So, well,
I wonder if there's been-
and maybe your homestead exemption is different here in the state of Florida, anybody is allowed to file a homestead exemption.
There's an
This is a.
Is there any? To see, in
Yeah,
Florida,
65 because it's.
in Florida, if you are a single person and that is your primary residence, you get $25,000 worth of exemption. You're a married couple, it's $50,000 worth of exemption. And then if you're a disabled veteran, I believe it's $65,000.
It's based on the page.
If you're a disabled veteran, I believe it's more than that, yeah.
Based on the page.
Yeah, it's not, in Florida, it's truly just about, are you a single person and that's your primary residence, or are you a married person and that's your primary residence?
It's 65 now. 65 here.
But that brought up a question, but you just say, look, you need anything? Never thought about that.
What we do in Florida anyway. All right, questions, comments, concerns? All right, well then, make the use of your gift of time today. Make those calls, time block your stuff, make the tags. Use your time wisely, God has given you this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many of you have that access to? I think.
Thanks. I'll see you all this afternoon.
Hi, Bruna.
Bye. I'll see you this afternoon.
Okay.
Is there something?
It's time block, it's a program.
Yeah. Time blocking.
The last class is on the 14th. Oh, no, that dates. Let me see. 13th. That's the last.
My goodness.
You're welcome.
And I think from here on out, it's mainly other people teaching, so,
Yeah, who else is teaching?
hang on, I'll tell you.